Welcome to the Team EF Coaching Performance Podcast, where we take information from the highest level of sport and make it accessible for all cyclists. I'm your host, Zach Morris, and in this episode, I have one of our coaches and a director sportif from EF Pro Cycling, Mr. Ken Vanmarcke, joining us. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hi, Zach. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're absolutely happy to have you here on the podcast and on the coaching staff as well. You're a great asset to the team. Ken, just for the audience that may not know what a director sportif does in pro cycling, can you explain your position in the team a little bit and kind of what your day-to-day looks like?
Basically, it starts actually in the 1st of November, let's say, that we start to contact riders that we are assigned to, that we are responsible for, and we try to help them already from basically almost directly after the season. And we have contact with them, we check on them, we talk to them about the plans, check in with their coaches to see how that works and stuff. And then basically when the season comes in, we do a lot of preparation at home, especially in this team. Every DS is putting a lot of effort in making a proper preparation of, and that goes from logistics, because that's like quite a big job, and it is always nice to do that in advance. If something goes wrong, you can easily change things once you're on the road. And then basically we look very detailed into all the stages or all the one-day races that we are going to. Street view, basically every hole in the road we almost see in advance. Even if, for example, I went to UAE, okay, that's pretty straightforward, but there's no holes in the road there. But
Right.
still, every single detail we will know already before we go there, because then you can make a really nice plan. To try to win the stage or the stage race, or so there's a lot. It's a big, there's a lot of different things that we have to do as a DS.
So how does that selection process work back in November? Is it like a lottery? The team says, okay, 5 guys for you, 5 guys for you. How do you get assigned the riders that you're responsible for looking after?
Yeah, basically we have one head DS, that's Charlie Wegelius, and he chats. Yeah, he knows us, obviously. He knows us very well. And he also checks on the new riders, what type of rider they are, where they come from, what country they come from, the language, all those things play a big part in that. And then basically he divides the DSs over the riders. And I must say he's doing quite a good job with that, because he really looks into a lot of things, and makes sure, for example, if that there's no conflict in character. Okay, that's a big word, but that it fits, that it suits, and that basically the DS can really push their riders and help them, that the characters match.
That's awesome. Charlie is definitely a legend of the sport. I'm a Charlie fan myself. So, how does it work then? The interaction that you have directly with, let's say, the athlete's external coach. What kind of conversations do you have with their coach? Do you say, hey, we're going for these races or these stages this year. We really need to define these abilities in this particular athlete. How do those kind of conversations happen?
Yeah, most of our riders have internal coaches, so that helps a lot. And even with them, we talk with them, but they already have, because they are inside, they understand what's going on. But with the few external coaches, we make contact with them, and basically we have a discussion with them, and also point out, like, okay, this race he can use as a build-up, but he will need to work for a leader, and we want to see where he can get, where his potential is in this or that race. And then also that coach knows exactly how to build up. And we can also discuss with them, like, if we see the build up, how they're going to approach it. As a DS, you also can ask questions to make sure that they know, they have it all clear what the team wants, and that they can prepare the rider to get the best out of him. Yeah.
Is there ever the kind of conversation where you would say to a coach, like, look, your rider needs to come to this race with this specific skill set really well developed?
Yeah. basically mainly that will go then for TTT and TT stuff. Then if we think that a rider can perform really well, or we're looking at the GC, or we want to see potential and there's a TT, then we will always check in with the coach, like, are you aware of that? And the TT is going to be this long, so it would be nice to get some. But I must say, Zach, mostly the DSs at this level, the coaches at this level, they also look into the races, and they basically, before we even call them, they know what's going on, and also the riders are aware of their position and towards the races as well, and they also speak to their coaches. So it goes quite smooth. It's not that we need to be on their back all the time. No, not at all.
That's good. Yeah. I think we do that internally as well in our coaching business. Even with our really entry level riders, we're mapping out their season far in advance and trying to help them picture how they can get the most out of their year. So that's pretty cool. So Ken, how did you become a DS at EF Pro Cycling? What's your cycling background?
I used to race myself when I was young, and um, basically I stopped racing when I was 19. I met my girlfriend then, and now she's my wife. We have 3 kids, so she I don't know, she was not the one that made me stop, not at all, but I just didn't like it anymore. But okay, the week after we got married, I started riding my bike again, and I restarted racing the year after. So, and then basically I was 22, so I missed like the 3 most important years of my career to make a next step, potentially. But and then I had my best years until I was 27. Then I stopped again because basically my dream was gone, and I was fine with it. I had some good results then, and I showed what my potential was, and it didn't work out in the end to become a pro. But actually, that also made that I rolled into this the job that I have now. I was training with my brother Sepp every day, even though I stopped cycling, and I was training basically for 6 years. He was never riding in Flanders on Flanders Road without me by his side. And I used to be a postman. I didn't really like the job, but okay, sometimes you're in a situation, and it was just easy to the whole afternoon I was free to ride with him. But then I basically um, made a change, and I started studying as for coach, and then I could join Lotte Jumbo to learn more from them, and for 1 year they teach me a lot. So basically then I was into that system, and I learned a lot. I made steps, and then yeah, Seb signed with JV's team with EF, and he was happy to also get me in. So since then it's 7 years. It's my 7th year now. I'm with the team. So yeah, it goes quite fast.
That's awesome. I think the bulk majority of the population won't necessarily understand the level that you have to go and ride with a rider like Sepp every single day. Even just to go out and train 5-6 hours a day, like it's not like Sepp Vanmarcke was riding easy, right? Um,
Oh.
so what were those training times like when it was just you and your brother? That must have been pretty special, just out training
Yeah,
every afternoon.
yeah, it was something really special, and we still, when we think back, we really think like, wow, that was a really special period. But I must say that it was not always fun. I was a postman then, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and by 12 o'clock I was home getting on the bike, and maybe I was already 7 hours on the road in the rain
Wow.
as a postman, and then in the afternoon I still had to do 4 hours in the rain. So that was not always fun, and I don't know how I kept doing that for 6 years, because I was doing full-time job and still training 24 to 28,000 kilometers per year. But
Wow.
it was I had the feeling that that was the closest I could be to become a pro, and that was really nice and precious to support my brother in that way when he was still 22 years old, and 21, 22, when we started that 6 year period of training together. um, but it was not always fun, and I don't like I was 10 kilos lighter than him, and he's a a cobble rider, and I hated those. But every single week, so many times, I had to go over those hills and with the cobbles. And also, when he was on a training camp, I had to work, so I stayed home. And then basically, when it was cold or snowing, whatever, at home, and I knew he had a 5 hour ride, I basically did 5 hours on the roller,
Okay.
because I couldn't. Yeah, because and that's you said it right there. A lot of people did not understand what I was doing. They thought I was crazy, but the level of those pros is so incredibly high. It's unbelievable. I was going fast, but okay, if I compared myself with Seb or these pros now, it's like, okay, I was not even close. That's the reality. It's if you see threshold of an 80 kilo rider, threshold of 450, 460 watts, it's almost impossible to believe, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a big difference, let's say. The special people, that's for sure.
I think the outcome, uh, whether you were or not you were good enough to ride at the highest level or not. That's kind of secondary for me. What's really cool about that is the story. 6 years is not a short amount of time. That is really cool that you woke up every single day, did your job, trained like a professional rider, and did it for such a long period of time. For me, that just shows so much mental resilience. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but I think I still am recovering from that, because now it's so hard to get my bike out. I have two nice bikes, but I'm not gonna. They won't die because of me riding too much. That's for sure. But it was a really nice period. That's true, and it's also nice to be able to do 40 kilometers an hour for 1 hour on your own. And now
Yeah,
that's almost like a full gas sprint for me.
right. So that obviously laid a lot of foundation for you to try a lot of different training methods and learn a lot about training and coaching and so on. So, do you think a lot of those moments you apply now as a coach?
Yeah, basically there's one thing, like before I had a coach, I was a rider that was only filling the peloton. Basically, I was just one of the 150 riders, and that was it. In big races, I never had a top 30 result. But then suddenly I was pushing it too much, because my grandfather, my uncle, and my father told me when I was young, you have to do three things to become a rider. You need to train, train, and train. So I did that, and that's basically not the case. Not, you need to work a lot, but there's also, like, you need to find the balance. And I didn't have that balance until I had a coach. And basically 1 month after I had the coach, well, after I was working with the coach, I started getting top 5 result in even big races
Wow.
in Belgium, and I won Gent-Wevelgem for under 23. Before I was working with a coach, that was just never gonna happen, never. So I saw the difference between doing things yourself and waking up in the morning and you feel good and you say, like, okay, let's smash it. And the day after you're recovered and you feel good again and you think, like, oh, I'm good, I'm gonna smash it again, you know. And then suddenly you wake up and you feel horrible. And basically it's because you probably pushed it a bit too much, or like, it is very difficult to train and get you to a max, because you're emotional involved with yourself, and
Yeah.
then it's very difficult to take a rational decision. And that was something I learned from a lot. Yeah.
Cycling's one of those sports that attracts people who really like to work hard. And I find in our
Yeah.
coaching practice, we're constantly toning people down from going harder and harder and harder to trying to do things with a little bit more strategic approach that allows them to have balance in their life. Because you probably know this, but if there's the balance isn't there, then the progress will stop. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that
Yeah,
you went through
totally.
that. So how do you find coaching? I mean, regular everyday people now that want to do grand fondos and perform well in amateur events. I'm sure that's kind of a big transition for you. So what is that like for you?
um Actually, the main thing for me is, what I love a lot is to get people, to push them to the level that they never achieved before, and that they actually don't know that they can handle.
Right.
A lot of especially with amateurs, basically 95% thinks that every pro is riding their ass off all day long every day, but that's not the case. Basically, there's so much endurance you need to do to make a proper foundation and then to go fast. You even can go fast with almost only doing endurance, and that's what people don't really understand, or they need to get used to that. um, but it is very important, and I love to make people go faster than they knew they could handle. And that's and to see how amazed they are, how yeah that's just really nice to push them and also slow them down, like to help them understand the balance.
How do you get excited for uh, goals like completing a cycling Grand Fondo when you're regularly working with athletes who are trying to win the biggest races in the world?
Yeah, but it's a totally it's a similar thing, but I do believe that everybody on his level can get really exciting goals. If I did it before with the Grand Fondo and a tourist, and he wanted to finish it. And the first time we did it, he finished it. He was really happy. He was in tears. And then I said, like, okay, what's the next one? Okay, in 3 months I have another one. Said, okay, why don't we get in the top 100? Because I saw also the potential in this guy. Like, he said, that's not possible. It's not for me. I said, okay, if you don't want it, it's fine, but I know it's gonna work. And we did it. He started believing me, and that was so nice. And he was like 79th or something
Wow.
out of 600 or something people, and that's yeah. Those people are then so thankful, and it's also cool for me. I'm also in this world where I see crazy numbers and this and that, and you always think like, oof, fuck, and you after a while you even think it's normal to see 400 watts
Right.
for 20 minutes and whatever. And then you come to the reality. Basically 99.9% of the people in the world is not in those numbers, which is perfectly fine. We are the normal people, they are not, let's say.
Right.
And it is cool to see how far you can push those people, how not push, but how far you can bring them and what level they can do. That's just exciting for me.
I think in your case, having had so much experience at the highest level, the results that you can bring to somebody at an amateur level are so much, I guess, more exaggerated, because to get 1% performance gain at the highest level is such a difficult thing to do. And with
It's frustrating.
yeah, but with the people, let's say, who have been riding their bike for 3 to 5 years and have never done it anywhere near a professional level, it can be much easier to get gains out of their performance with some of the tactics that you would use at the professional level. What are maybe some of the things that you like to do with athletes that make a big difference in their performance?
Actually, I always look at goals, what they want to do themselves. But what I really like is like Grand Fondos. That's a really cool one, because then you can calculate how much power they need to go up the climb, and often they find it hard to believe because they can go harder, but okay, they need to go over these three big mountains, and it is just nice to calculate and say like, okay, trust me, we're going to push this power and you're going to be just fine after the first one, and the second one is going to be a bit harder, and the last one you're going to have to dig deep, but you can do it, and you push them and then it works, and that is something that is really cool, really cool. Those Grand Fondos is it's honest, it's you can really train. You don't have to worry about crashes or things that doesn't really, if people take it calm and serious, and they look at what they can do rather than yeah being aggressive, or it's not aggressive racing, let's say, uh
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool one. Grand Fondos is really cool. Yeah.
We just got back from the Strade Bianchi Grand Fondo, where we took a group of 8 riders over to do that Grand Fondo.
Okay.
And that
Cool.
one was not what you just described. That was pretty chaotic. A lot of gravel sections. and
Yeah.
it was really amazing to see how much everybody benefited from approaching that race like a pro team would. So we had them there a few days before the Grand Fondo. We took them and reconned the entire course over the course of a couple of days, pointed out all of the sketchy sections or critical moments where they'd have to push really hard. And then we took them in the team van during the race, and we had the radio on, and Maddie Breschel was
Okay.
giving orders to everybody, and it was really cool
Cool.
for everybody that took part in the camp. But what was so amazing is all of the guests who came to the camp went out there for their own Grand Fondo and had so much clarity in how they needed to apply themselves to the event that they all did PRs. Nobody crashed. It was totally safe. And Strade Bianchi's it's kind of a tricky Fondo. You know the race, right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of gravel. They just laid a bunch of fresh gravel, so it was pretty hectic. But just having that experience that you only kind of get from the pro level, where you can do what a DS would do, which is recon and point all of these critical moments out. Everybody was able to get such great results. So I think for us, one of the things we learned, especially at this camp, is you can't increase people's power numbers in a weekend, right? But what you
Yeah.
can do is give them clarity and strategy around the event that they're going to do. And just that alone will probably impact their performance more than 20 watts on their threshold or something like that.
Yeah, totally. But if you think about it, I followed it also a bit, and it is actually a once in a lifetime opportunity that people can get with those camps that is organized, and you cannot get closer to the the, the pro life than that. Basically, because the tire pressure is gonna be looked at. There's people around you to take care of you, and I did Paris-Roubaix on my own for tourists, and once you have bad luck, you're just on your own, and it's just not fun anymore. Basically, you want to turn around at some point and go home.
Right.
And I think what you guys did this weekend, that was, yeah, a crazy good, a nice experience for those people. I saw in the training camp in December as well, um, how excited those people were to be so close to the pros, to be treated like a pro, to experience basically what these, yeah, sometimes heroes experience. So it's pretty unique, I think, or probably it's the only thing in the world, that works that way.
I think that's what's so interesting about working with somebody like you as a coach, though, is that this is your entire life for the last 7 years. You've been with EF for 7 years now, right? So the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
the way we run these camps and the way we try to prepare people for races, even who aren't at camps, is by emulating what a DS would do. So I think it's actually a very special opportunity to have somebody like you looking at your athletes' Grand Fondo course, and like you said, telling them exactly what numbers they're going to push to perform at their best, so on and so
yeah,
forth. So
yeah,
so Ken, you're DSing all of the classics this year. You've got Roubaix coming up, Flanders. What are you
yeah.
excited about this year?
Yeah, actually, this year is the first year that I'm gonna do less classics, but I will do. That's correct. I will still do Flanders, where actually my house is 7 kilometers from the finish, and all those cobblestone hills are just in my backyard, let's say, and also Roubaix, and then I do also Flèche Wallonne and Brabantse Pijl. Those races is where my heart is. Basically, that's where I belong, and the chaos, the drama, especially the drama in Roubaix, but also the chaos, the hills, the trees that still don't have leaves. Everything looks so dramatic, and it's a horrible race if you have bad luck. But it's the most beautiful thing in the world if you can win, or you can have a good result. Like, I remember I was there with Andreas Clear when Alberto won Flanders, and basically he just cried. I was just crying, and that's it. and everybody's crying and giving hugs, and we run to the podium, and Alberto's so happy, all the teammates are happy. It's yeah, because you know how much things can go wrong, and when it all comes together and everything runs well, it's incredible. It's unbelievable. But as a team, we put so much effort into that, so much time, so much people are full gas preparing that months in advance. Andreas Clear is responsible for equipment in the team, and he's every day that he's not at a race, he's looking at equipment and how to make it faster, how to make things better. So yeah, it's a big job, but it's one of the most beautiful things in the world, in my opinion.
That is so exciting. How do you feel about the team this year for the classics?
I think they're quite strong. Let's just hope that we don't have same bad luck as last year with illnesses, because that's always, you know, also with the coaching, you try to push your riders to get the best out of them, but it's a thin line, because when you push them, that means that after training they are tired and they're more exposed to sickness, or like they're weaker. Basically, they need time to recover, and that's the balance that we need to have. And I think this year it's going really well. We have a few sicknesses now, but I think it's also a matter of adapting to that, and not being with your head down and just looking forward and see how we can make it work. And I believe there's 100 different ways, 1,000 different ways to get there. But I must say I'm very excited. So we're gonna have a few strong guys coming in as well for Flanders and Roubaix. And I saw in opening weekend basically that the base is already really high. We had 5 riders there with 20K to go or something. 5 riders in a group of 40. That's a lot. That's really a lot. And then you also in the final need to be a bit lucky, but for sure we have chances. I really believe that this year we have big chances.
Yeah, that was an interesting opening weekend. Was interesting. We had a lot of guys on the front. The results don't really necessarily show how strong the team was
No,
because they were closing a lot of very heavy gaps. It
yeah,
really
but it's just a matter of a few really small details that can get 2 3 people in the top 10, even one in top 5. It can happen like that, but you need to when all the things come together, you're going to have people there. And that's opening weekend. There's still 3 weeks in between with the other classics coming up. So if they can make this last step, they're going to be up there, that's for sure.
who can we expect to go fast from EF this year?
I think we have a few. I think Honore is a new guy, and he's really excited to show the team also what he can do. We have Nielsen Paulus. I think Stefan Bissegger is going to make a step. Jonas Ruch is going to make a step. Lukas Wisniewski is going well now, and he's really excited and motivated to go really hard. We have Tom Scully, who's again at a really high level, and sometimes you cannot see that from TV, but there's always a few guys that are really pushing hard to bring those leaders to the front at the right moment, and that are also willing to sacrifice their own race to bring their leaders to the front. So I think we have a few names that can really get in the deep in those final. And of course, I forgot Alberto Bettiol. He's always going to be up there, but I think together with Nielsen, Paulus, and Honore and Bettiol, we're going to see 3 people deep in the finals. That's I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, the good news is Bettiol wasn't too hurt from his crash at Strade Bianchi, so
He needed some time, but I think he's going well. He's training well again, so he's going to be okay.
awesome. And then so for you, for your schedule, you go to the classics and then things kind of tone down a bit for you.
No, not at all, Zach.
Okay.
No. Basically, 10 days after Flèche Wallon, I go to Giro. So that's 4 weeks full gas then. And then I do Occitane and Mont Ventoux. Did it last year as well, Mont Ventoux, where we finished first and second. So that was cool. So I want to repeat something like that again. And then it's gonna slow down a little bit for me. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not just a classics DS. You do DS the mountain stages
No. Yeah,
and
everything.
races like the Giro. What's your
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, what's your favorite type of race to DS then? Must be the classics.
Yeah, the classics, but there's also so much external factors that you cannot control, that you don't have an impact on, and sometimes that's not always fun, because you know how much energy and how much um, time and money the team invest in that, and also the riders. And within a split second, you go in a corner, a guy slides out, he takes you down, and you lose maybe a leader, and that's happening a lot in the classics. Like I said, that's the drama. It's the most beautiful race if you win or you have a good result. It's the worst race if you have bad luck. um no, but I must say the classics, actually, Zach, if I'm honest, I'm a DS, and it doesn't really matter which race. I did UAE
Cool.
for the first time, and I was not in the opening weekend, and not for a single second I missed it. I was all in, trying to push my riders for UAE. I'm gonna do the same thing now in Copy Bartali while we have Gent Wevelgem and stuff. I'm gonna be in Copy Bartali with Tom Sutton, and we're gonna push those guys so hard. And basically, my head is there. Then maybe it sounds weird, but it's just, yeah, I'm a DS, and I'm trying to, wherever they bring me, which race I need to do, I go full gas with those riders, and then I'm not really thinking about the other races that are happening, to be honest.
That's amazing. I love the intensity. It's inspiring.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me where to go and when, and I'm gonna do my best to get the best result for the team. So that's awesome. Well,
Cool.
Ken, it was really awesome to have you on the podcast today. I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for coming on. If you guys are interested in learning more about Coach Ken, you can get all of the details at teamefcoaching.com. Select the tab that says Our Coaches. Ken, thank you so much for coming on the show today, man. That was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thanks, Zach. Thank you.